Countdown is still on. It's October the 13th, 85 days from diagnosis, and now only 33 days to the bone marrow transplant. I'm still doing well. I'm out exercising. I've boosted up to around 12 to 13,000 steps a day, and things are traveling pretty well. It's starting to get real. It's going to be very soon. So today I want to focus on some of the obvious things, the home care, what it means, all of this on your personal life, not just your medication. For me, it is, the whole diagnosis came very much of a sudden. We really didn't plan for this. It wasn't something that I thought was in the foreseeable future. Thought I had another, almost 10-20 years before retirement, so our financial plans were based on that. So they weren't actually based on a red herring, something to just come out of the blue like this. I was fairly healthy, everything was going smoothly, got a good job, good career, and life was great. What this has taught me is little things like insurance. Income protection insurance would have been great. Unfortunately, I didn't have any, and there's none on my super. So basically, when my leave runs out, that is my sick leave, which has already run out, and then my annual leave and my long service leave, because I've been fortunately working in the same place for over 20 years. When that runs out, my income runs out. So the way I've mitigated that is now I'm on half pay and trying to stretch out my leave for as long as possible to give me maximum recovery time in order to see if I can come back to work, which is at this stage pretty important to our financial security, that in maybe 6 months I can come back to work. That's the best case scenario. On the flip side of that is I'm going through a bone marrow transplant. They say there's 100 days of recovery time, and the 100 days is not a hard, fast rule. So 100 days for one person might be 150 for another. It might be 200 days for another. It might be 80 days for one. It depends on your recovery time, your ability to, graft with a whole new immune system and bone marrow. There's a lot of medications throughout that time. You are constantly back and forth to the hospital. You just don't know. Some people are a couple years away from work, and they're still not working a couple years later. Other people were straight back into it after a few months, but never as much. Okay, what you've got to understand is that you're undergoing a lot of treatments that will take some of your physical capacity away, because not only are you undertaking a whole new immune system and bone marrow system, you're having medications that attack various parts of your body, because chemotherapy attacks the good cells and the bad cells. Okay, it goes for the cancer cells, but it also attacks some of the good cells. So sometimes there's different damage that can be caused. So you're never going to be at that 100%. Right? So don't expect too much of yourself. It might be a phased return, which is I'm hoping I can do at the end when my leave runs out, when my half pay runs out. I can do maybe a phased return and come back slowly into a workplace, which I need to do. There's people who have obligations. I have a mortgage. There's no getting away from that. If I don't pay the mortgage, I haven't got a place to live. So I need a plan in order to be able to pay that mortgage for the sake of my family, for my wife, for my son. That's a really important consideration. And that's why I'm on half pay, to try to stretch it out, because I think I can try to stretch it out to get me to that 100-day mark, so I can see if I can come back to work or a phased return to work. Really important things to consider, and you need to start considering them early, because once you've got this diagnosed, what you need to understand, it is a long road. It is a journey that perhaps takes you to the rest of your life. You'll be, I saw people in hospital that were 10, 20 years into their cancer journey and still returning for treatment to hospital. They're still being checked. So understand this is part of your new journey. You make the most of it, take the positives, but understand that you've got to set yourself up for a longer road than you may have anticipated, and changing your financial situation around, tidying up all your affairs so that you can endure a longer road, not only with your body but with your whole financial situation. Okay? So there's another aspect to your financial situation and living with leukemia, or any cancer for that matter, is that you have to be humble enough to receive. It's sometimes hard to do. I'm not good at it, but I'm now realizing that for the sake of my family, for the sake of my children, for just making it through this, I have to be humble enough to receive when people make offers to give. So for instance, a very kind friend has set up a GoFundMe page, which is very humbling, but so important. There are so many little expenses that you don't realize, that you don't understand until you're in this situation. And random things, just for instance, making the house or the place where you live a sterile environment, changing the way that you live so that you can get through this health-wise. All the little extra bills that you need to pay and consider, the less income that you have coming in, the meals that is just a help to get over. All those little things are really, really important, and something like that was just such a wonderful thing, and all those that have donated to it is just very humbling, but so worthwhile in the end, and it's hard to express your appreciation of things like that. But there's also the government bodies, the not-for-profit organisations that can help you out as well, like the Leukemia Foundation, or any foundation that's associated with, for instance, cancer care. Often they have vouchers. We received a Coles voucher, which was, Coles voucher is a supermarket here in Australia, that helped us with some food, which was just really helpful. Also, just recently, Leukemia Foundation helped us out with a petrol voucher, which is pretty important considering that the hospital that I'm having all the major treatment to, going for the transplant, and then the 100 days after, where I have to attend 2-3 times a week, is over 100 kilometres away, 60 mile away, and it's quite a travel. And today's petrol prices doesn't go far, but anything really helps. So all those little things, just say thank you and just receive, because at the end of the day, you really do need these little handouts where they are. So if you get any offers, we had some people, some work colleagues, and that they gave us another supermarket voucher, and also a food voucher, setting us up. We could buy a couple $100 worth of meals, ready-made meals. So helpful, so helpful. All of these little things, they really do help. So drop your pride, accept, say thank you. You know, these people probably don't know just how much it's of a benefit and so much it's appreciated, and maybe you won't have the opportunity to express all of that because you'll be sick or for some reason or another, but it's really important that you are humble enough to receive when there's things on offer. Here's a helpful little tip that a friend gave me. There's an app called Gather My Crew. It helps you to gather a crew to assist in any little task. Okay, so in my case, I know that once I get through this transplant, so that is I've spent my 4 weeks in hospital, everything's going great, then I will go on a basically 100-day plan. And in that time, I will have to travel back and forth to the hospital for treatment, to the transplant hospital. So for me, that means a trip of nearly 100 kilometres or 60 mile away, and I have to go there twice a week at least. So I know that I have to travel down with someone in the initial stages. So maybe for the first 4 weeks, I will have to travel down with someone there. They will have to physically drive me because I will not be ready to be driven, or might need medication, or I will not be up to it. So I need someone to drive me. Gather My Crew app, you can send it out to all volunteers and people that have offered to help, and maybe one person here, one person there, they volunteer to drive you down. It's a way that people can help, and it just might take the heat off for you and just make things easier. As it is, I'm going to be in a financially challenging situation. My wife works minimum wage. If she was to take the time off, which she doesn't have because of a new job, we would suffer significantly for that. So I need volunteers. Gather My Crew is a great way to gather some volunteers for that first, say, 4 weeks, twice a week. You might be able to have people take turns just to driving you down to the hospital. The other thing is that with places like the Leukemia Foundation and the Cancer Council and all of these other not-for-profit organisations that help to care and for people with cancer, you can get accommodation vouchers if you live far away from the hospital, and you might be able to get subsidised accommodation so that maybe you can stay there between some of the days. So I'm going to look at that option as well. So if I'm there on a Tuesday and I've got to be back on a Thursday, maybe I just stay overnight because it's a fair distance away, and for me it's a drive through a city with traffic, so maybe I'll just stay down there for a couple of nights. I'm going to look at all those and see how the finances stretched in order to be able to get the care that I need. Things that you need to think about them now, because you need to have a plan in place. You're not going to be in condition to make all those decisions after you've been through this bone marrow transplant and you're in the early stages. You need to be doing this while you're healthy, while you're moving about in the prep up. And often you're at your peak, like I am right now, in the few weeks before you're going in for transplant. That's where you're at peak. The week before, you're starting to have lots of treatments and everything. You're going to be no good then. So the few weeks before, this is the time you should be doing all that proactive planning and thinking about things. So yeah, if you haven't thought about it, start making plans. So that's me for the 13th of October. 33 days to bone marrow transplant. I'm doing well. I'm out exercising, using these great days that I had before very usefully, doing a lot of planning, and I'm feeling very good, feeling very positive. So, V for victory.